Hello again, everyone. This Easter week, I really wanted to take some time to reflect upon and lift up the women of the Easter story who are present but can so often be overlooked or overshadowed in our Easter celebrations. So this past Sunday, on Easter Sunday, we hear in the Gospel about how Mary Magdalene and several other women were the first to come across the tomb early on that third morning after the crucifixion. And these women arrived first, before anybody else, to provide care for the tomb and do the tasks that were entrusted to them to do. But at the moment that Mary and these other women receive the news that Jesus was no longer in the tomb, that he had risen from the dead, the role of those women really changed. They went forth from that tomb to become the very first evangelizers, right? The absolute first people ever to share the news with the world that Christ had risen from the dead. And many have speculated that it was surprising that women would be entrusted with this task and with sharing this message. But I don't really find it surprising at all. As one writer I follow on social media shared this week, she wrote, "From the beginning, Jesus has seen, chosen, anointed, qualified, entrusted, empowered, called, and commissioned women to do things like deliver the greatest news the world has ever known." And I really believe that the way that Jesus's resurrection began to spread throughout the world, the method through which that news was shared, is congruent and symbolic to the way that he lived his life on earth, flipping the worldly power structures on their heads and making room for a new world. A world where the voices of those on the margins were amplified, including those of women. And today, within many religious institutions, including Catholicism, women, particularly women of color and trans women, continue to be systematically oppressed by those structures. And I wanted to do this reflection during this Easter week to challenge you to see the story of the resurrection and the women who first announced that good news as an opportunity to do some personal reflection on whose voices continue to be silenced or left out of conversations that you are part of. In your day-to-day life, when you look around, who is not at the table and why are they not there? Jesus' life and mission demands that we create space for those voices not only to be heard, but to be deeply valued and appreciated. And as followers of Christ, we cannot celebrate Easter without recognizing our God-given responsibility to question and challenge systems of oppression in our own world, including those that we believe fundamentally are doing good work, or those that remain really close to our hearts, close to us personally. But we must acknowledge that we do this work, we do this challenging and questioning, not to divide or to destroy, but to bring us ever closer to the heart of Christianity and the heart of Jesus Christ himself. And I wanted to leave you with some words from the poem Easter by Jan Richardson. And while it doesn't specifically relate to the women in the Easter story, I think a lot of the elements of this poem can apply to women who are seeking their place and seeking for their voices to be recognized and heard. So again, this is Easter by Jan Richardson. If you are looking for a blessing, do not linger here. Here is only emptiness, a hollow, a husk where a blessing used to be. This blessing was not content in its confinement. It could not abide its isolation, the unrelenting silence, the pressing stench of death. So if it is a blessing you seek, open your own mouth. Fill your lungs with the air this new morning brings, and then release it with a cry. Hear how the blessing breaks forth in your own voice, how your own lips form every word you never dreamed to say. See how the blessing circles back again, wanting you to repeat it, but louder. How it draws you, pulls you, sends you to proclaim its only word: risen, risen, risen.